everybody, welcome to Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. My name is Angel, and today I'm doing a little maintenance on my domestic machine. I need to. Listen, I just sewed together this rag quilt, and while I was sewing, I noticed my needle started to sound a little funny, and some of my stitches weren't on track. So I probably should have done it in between when I was sewing, but I just wanted to get it done. Yeah, we all have to do maintenance on our machines. It's a true thing. How often should we do it? Really depends on how much you sew, and what kind of things you're sewing with. Okay, so what that means is if you're sewing with a high length thread or a high length fabric, you're going to want to do it more often. That is for sure. Other than that, if you sew a lot, you might want to do it once a week. I know a lot of people that do. I try to, but I'm not always perfect. I'll be honest, I'm just not always perfect. If you don't sew very often, maybe you're just sewing once a week for a couple of hours, you can stretch it out to a month or two before you actually do some maintenance. But we should be doing maintenance. Why should we be doing that? It's kind of like your car. We take it in, we have an oil change. Doing that, they check the fluids, they check the belts, they check the brakes, they check everything, right? You have that 10-point check. Everybody has a 10-point check. So they check everything and they make sure that your car is safe to drive and that it's getting cleaned out, getting done so that it runs better and more efficiently. Same thing with a machine. Same thing with our sewing machines. You want it to run better. You want it to run more efficiently. So when you're sewing, you have a happy experience and you're preventing something major from happening that down the road could cost you time and money, and it just might even be better to buy a new machine. You take care of your machines. That's what the bottom line is. And now every machine's maintenance is a little bit different. So it's real important that you read your manual. Okay, because some machines need oil and some don't by us. Whether or not our professionals do it, I have no idea. This does not replace your professional cleaning. I highly recommend that once a year you take your machine in, at least once a year, you take your machine in and get it professionally done, because if there's any oiling that we don't do, they might. I don't know. But they really get in there and make sure that your machine is working premium for you. Okay? While we build those quilts of art. But some of the things you might notice that tells you that you need to do a cleaning, you might see some tension issues. As we sew with things with high lint or get any kind of stuff from our quilts that we're sewing or our piecing that we're doing, it could get down into our bobbin area. It could get into our tension area. So you might start seeing some tension issues. That is one way. Another thing you might notice is that your feed dogs aren't grabbing that fabric like they should, so it's not as smooth. Maybe your stitches are uneven. Anything that isn't right, if you troubleshoot and you take out your thread and rethread it, if you change your needle, all of that normal thing that we go through, if you're still having trouble, I would highly recommend that you try to clean it. And I noticed some symptoms. I'm a little bit nervous about pulling this out. I ain't gonna lie. So we're gonna go in close when I do this. So it'll be really interesting what I find. Now I typically don't have a lot. I use a low length thread, and I typically just sew with 100% quilting cotton. But this time, I did that rag quilt, and so we might see something. We'll find out, because I did notice some changes, and I'm March, April, May. I'm 3 months away from my annual cleaning. So I'm really thinking it's time to get some cleaning done inside. So that's why you want to do it. I mean, and that's the things that you might start to experience. So what would we need to do the cleaning? Well, I can definitely tell you when I do my cleanings, I change my needle. I am probably the worst person about changing needles. I'm just going to be honest with you. I stretch things to the end of time. And especially with needles. There's a lot of recommendations out there about changing your needle every project, and I can see why. I really can. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's just, I don't know if I'm cheap or if I'm, wanting to see the symptoms before I really start to engage in that, but I'm probably one of the worst people about changing needles. But I'm going to change the needle today because I'm doing maintenance, and when I do maintenance, I typically change the needle. Okay, so you need a fresh needle. Other things you might need are a screwdriver. Now, there's that really weird one that comes with your machine, and it's short. There's not it's not like a typical screwdriver where it's really long. It's tends to be short. It'll help you get your screws out. So I highly recommend this, but if you can't find it, you're going to need to find a screwdriver with a short head, which can be problematic. I'm also going to take my needle out, which won't require this screwdriver that came with my machine, but I'm going to have it on hand just in case. So we have our screwdrivers. We have our needles. We're going to need a brush. Now, typically your machine comes with a brush because we're all supposed to be doing maintenance, and they're very good about in the manual what maintenance we need to do, and then they give us some supplies. So I actually had 2 machines now, domestic machines. So I have 2 brushes that came with my machines. I'm going to bring those along. You can also go to a big box store and get a different kind of brush. Maybe a pipe cleaner, okay? You might need some tweezers. So I have tweezers on board. Believe it or not, I actually have pinning needles because sometimes the areas are really tiny and you don't want to disturb any of the functionality of your machine. So I just sometimes need to get a little dust bunny out and I need something small. So I always carry some pinning needles. And then because I am changing my needle blade and, my pin, I might find that it's bent, my pinning needle. But I just carry this because I am going to change my needle. I have a place to dispose of it. Now, I don't know about the environmental impacts of throwing your needle inside of your trash bag and then going off to wherever they take your trash. But I do know that when I throw away a needle, if I just throw it in the trash can, it could puncture the bag and then create a hole, and we all know how horrible that is. So I use a bottle that used to carry some of, a med bottle, and I take all the labels off and I just put all my needles in there, and that includes my long arm, which I go through a lot more long arm needles than I do domestic needles. I'm kind of picky about my long arm, so I go through a lot more of those. And then some bent pins, my pinning needles. I put them all in here. And that way, when this thing fills up and I go to throw it away, I'm not going to puncture any holes in my trash bag. So that's what I do. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them because I'm always looking for new ways. So those are the things that you're going to need. So let's get this started. Oh, one more thing I just thought of. Don't tell my husband. I took one of those, I don't even know what they're called. There's a name for them. But it's a towel that is used inside of a car or outside of a car. Because I'm going to wipe down my machine on the outside to get it cleaned up from the dust and the grime that may have built up. I actually carry I keep it close by, and I tend to wipe it down a lot. But when I'm doing the maintenance, I definitely have it. So you might want to either have a paper towel with maybe some cleaning spray that, you know, isn't horrible for the machine at all, that can handle the plastic, or your car towel. Shh, don't tell no one. All right, so we're going to get this started and get this machine cleaned, get yours cleaned, and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so here we are at my machine, and I feel like I got one shot to get this right, because once I pull it apart and clean it, I can't do that twice. I mean, I could, but you might not find the same things. But the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to make sure that your presser foot is lifted and the needle is in the highest position. Okay? And then you want to unplug and turn off your machine, which I've already, I mean, you can see mine's not on, and I've already unplugged it. You don't want anything, you don't want to hit something and while your hands are in there, it could be disaster. So make sure that happens first. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my presser foot, but I have a little button in the back that it drops it. I have one of those snap-on type things. And then we're going to remove the needle. So, oh, I do need that screwdriver. All right. So, go ahead and remove that needle. All right. I'm going to go ahead and unthread that. Okay. Now, the next thing you want to do is take out your bobbin. Okay, so now that's clear. I'm already starting to see some dust. All right, then we're going to go ahead and remove the plate. And that's where that funky looking screwdriver comes in. And I actually have 2 screws. Some machines have 1. Like I said, you really do need to check your manual, because some people can open the tensioner area. Some people have to take off a different plate before they take off this plate. It just really depends on what kind of machine you have. And I work right now on a Quantum Stylus 9960 from Singer, which, by the way, for an inexpensive machine, it is the bomb.com. Now, I will say, if you notice, they have a flat head on them. These screws do. So you don't want it to fall inside. So I'm going to move it away, but I'm going to put that flat head down so it doesn't roll away. Okay. So we'll get this plate off. And just getting it started with the screwdriver helps, but usually you end up using your fingers for the rest of the way. And then we're going to remove your plate. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and clean it. Let's flip it over. Oh, see, not too bad, not too bad. But I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to, you know, do a little cleaning. Usually I do, oh, see, I'm getting some stuff. And you'll want to hit the front side too. I'm going to pull this away. So you just want to get that cleaned off. You can also, and don't forget inside this area right here, this lip before the bobbin, and in the bobbin area, you wouldn't believe how much gunk. I mean, you can already start to see. So get that cleaned off. You can use your towel or your car towel that I talked about. Sorry, Air Bear. Air Bear's my husband. So you can use that to wipe it down, or you can use your methods of getting that cleaned off. So you want to set that aside. And I can already start to see, I don't know, maybe I should blow you up a little bit. Let me just pull you in. You can already see I've got some lint build up. Oh, in my feed dogs too. Yep, it needed, I knew it did. I could tell. Now, this right here, there is a little bit of, here, I got to pull this out. That is the next step. You're going to pull out your casing, okay? Your bobbin casing. And as you see, I have that little bit of felt there. You don't want to take that off. You want to be very careful. And you want to get inside here and get that cleaned out, okay? So there is that lint piece. But you want to get inside here and get that all cleaned out and start getting that fuzz out. I'm sorry, I should blow you out back out again. Oh, and you could see the fuzz in there. Look at those dust bunnies. Woo! That is something else. Okay, so once you get your bobbin casing clean, then you want to start to take, I'm going to grab my other brush because I like it better. You're going to want to start and you want to get all of this cleaned out. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm going to have lots of little bunnies. Make a little collection here. And this is all you're going to do. You're just going to sit here and get all of this fuzz and all of those dust bunnies cleaned out. Now this is, I can tell already too by the color, that it's from this rag quilt. It is linty, that is for sure. And I just need to get that out. So this is where a pin comes in. I should have used tweezers in that spot. Okay, it's not coming. Let's see if I can get the tweezers. Now remember, you don't want to disrupt. There it is. See, look at that. You don't want to disrupt anything. One of the things I did see somebody do is they used their flathead screwdriver and they just basically pushed in between here a little bit. Now you don't want to do it too hard because you don't want to disrupt any of the functionalities. Oh, I got double. I forgot I have double. So what I'm going to do is take my... Well, first I'm going to try a brush. Okay, yep. There we go. Got to get this all cleaned. Yeah, this works much better for me. I thought I'd try. Just saw that recently. If you really want to be able to get in here better too, you can take off your head of your presser foot. Oh, just want to make sure you get those feed dogs clean. Now, one thing I will tell you, some people tell you that they blow with those canned airs. I highly do not encourage that. Supposedly, there's moisture in it. I don't know anything about that. I've never read the can, so I don't know. But I will tell you that you don't want to push the dust bunnies that you see down into the machine where you can't get it. Okay. So that's basically what you're going to do here. Now this right here, there's another piece of fuzz right in here. Now you do want to get it clean, but you don't want to remove that. If my memory serves me correctly, when you cut thread, if you have a thread cutting machine, that's what holds the thread. So don't remove that little piece of felt, but you do want to get this all clean. Get it all out of there. And I'm going to do a little bit of work off camera so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. And then we'll come back and to the next step. So see you in a minute. Okay, couple of things. Now's a good time to clean your needle area. That tends to get a lot of dust and some lint in it also. So it's a good time to do that. And I would encourage you, if you have a threader, to pull that down and clean all around in there too, because you'll be surprised how much buildup there gets. Now remember, I was talking about this little area here is when it cuts the thread, that felt like little brush, little, you know, things here are holding that thread there. So your bobbin thread doesn't get crazy. And to clean that area, but just be very careful not to disrupt it or break it or pull it off. I found 3 pieces of thread, and they're pretty good size, inside the slits in here and within around this area of felt. So it is important. Okay, so after you've done all of that, now we're going to put it back together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our bobbin casing back in. Okay, and you want to put it back the way that that you took it out. Okay, so you want to get it seated in there. And then what I like to do is I just like to do a really good quick turn, full turn of my handle to make sure that this isn't going to be, you know, bumping around or anything, because when I start to sew, if this isn't seated correctly, the needle will come down and it could puncture it. That's no good. So I do a real quick check with that. Now the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to put our plate back on. At least on my machine, this is what. Put that plate back on. Okay. And grab those screws, and you want to get them started with your fingers first. They can be a little tricky. And then take your screwdriver and tighten those bad boys up. Kind of fun to do this on camera with the camera sitting in front of you. All right. Now, once you are all back together, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and replace your needle and put your bobbin back in. Cover your bobbin casing again. Give your machine a good wipe down all over, including in the threading up near the spool area. On the outside, make sure you're nice and clean and pretty, and you'll be ready to roll. See you in a minute. Okay, so the maintenance is done, and we're ready for our next project. Isn't that awesome? If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments below. I will be on Facebook Live to answer any questions you may have. You can come visit us at a Halo Inspiration inside Facebook. Like I said, I'll be there live just for you to answer those questions. If you do like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. But until next week, or until next time, may you continue to be inspired, productive, and joyful, and never stop making those dreams in quilting come true. Love y'all. See y'all soon, and happy quilting.